sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without wanting love bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day.
Folks, we are live, and let's get a little adjustment there, the cap. So thank you guys so much for joining along on the show. Always appreciate you coming and sharing your time and your evening with me. It's awesome that you guys are so important to what we do here and what we love to engage with. So guys, let's go ahead and get all the information that we usually cover at the beginning of every show out of the way. So if you're watching us on YouTube, there you are. There's the link there. You can check us out at www.youtube.com/made from scratch broadcast on YouTube. Do us a favor. If you're watching us there, please consider subscribing to the channel, man. We always sort of want to build our viewership there. Lets us be more creative, spreads our word and what we share here out to a broader audience. So if you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. And again, hit the like button and hit the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we schedule new lives, whenever we are live like we are right now, and of course, whenever we drop new content on the channel. So if you're watching on YouTube, again, thank you guys so much. Comment, share, appreciate you. And of course, you can check us out on our Facebook page at MFSB Live on Facebook. Same deal there. Hit the like button, guys, and it'll give you the option to set a reminder whenever we go live. So whenever we are live, it will let you know. You'll hear the ding. You can go click on a link, get in there, start commenting, being part of the conversation. So if you're checking us out on Facebook, sorry, thank you so much. You're awesome. And of course, we are streaming live on every other social media platform. We are streaming live on Twitter via Periscope at MFSB Live on Twitter. So if you're checking us out there, thank you so much. We are also streaming live on Twitch. So check us out on our Twitch channel there at twitch.tv/MFSB Live. Comment, share, be a part of the conversation on there, man. It's always fun to just, get to share this message and the people that I get to bring on here to as broad of range as I possibly can. So if you're watching on Twitch, thank you guys so much. And of course, we're streaming live on our favorite platform, LinkedIn. So if you're checking us out on LinkedIn, thank you guys so much. Send an invitation to connect. I'm always open to meeting and talking with new people. And it's a great way to build connections. So, bammo, guys, let's go ahead and get into this evening's conversation. And we already have people commenting. We'll pull that up just a minute. But I want to talk about a little bit about, excuse me, this evening's guest. So, his journey has been one where it started out as in the corporate world. But, where he is at this point along his journey and what he's done are two things that I really, really admire about this gentleman who we're about to have on. And in what he does, the way that he speaks, the way that he shares himself, and the way that he really brings authentic, real connection with folks is one of the most impressive things about my guest this evening, Mr. Dimitry Ortiz. So, guys, please do me a favor. Help me welcome to the show, Dimitry. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going, Gabriel?
We are going good. So we already got tons of people. Senor Pasayala Heyoka, what is up, my friend? He is a constant contributor. So hello, how are you doing? Everybody's just in the house, man. Paula, wonderful Paula. I'm trying to get Paula on the show too. I love Paula. She's such an awesome person, isn't she?
Oh, her poetry is amazing. I always follow her poetry. As a matter of fact, I did one poetry and I dedicated it to her.
Ooh, I have to read that because that's a good thing. And guys, a lot of these people that we bring on the show, it is always, she's over on YouTube. Good. Thank you so much. Jamal Marshall, what is up, man? And yes, Jason, connection has been established because Dimitry is one heck of a connector. The way that he, again, what he says and what he shares with people, I always appreciate his things. And of course, there's the man in the house. He is a frequent guest host. He's been a guiding light for a lot of us, Mr. Steve Sullivan. He'll actually be back next week, guest hosting again on the show. So I'm excited for that as well. Always love you, Steve. Awesome to see you, Daniel. Hey, there you go. What is up, Daniel Hall? Thank you so much for being part of the show. So, Dimitry, now that we got this stuff going, one of the most interesting things that I wanted to talk to you about your journey was how you started out. Let's go ahead and start how you started out in the corporate world, right? And how learning upon that journey kind of led you to transition into what you're doing now, because it is a stark contrast of where you're actually starting out and where you at in this point in the journey, and it's two different things. So, guys, if you don't know, he's actually in Guatemala. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so people, just so you know, he is live stream, and this is the cool thing about live streaming. I tell everybody, the world is your neighborhood, so you can connect with people. You can have these conversations. There's no longer the barriers of saying, "Hey, I'm here, they're there." No, we can always do this, and this is a great way to connect. So let's go ahead and start down that path a little bit about your journey. Learn a little bit about your past and what kind of helped build the foundation of who you are as a person. I would love to hear more about that.
Yes, for sure. So just real quick, just to people that don't know me, I was born in Guatemala City, Central America, the land of the Mayan Empire. Beautiful, beautiful country. It's called the country of the eternal spring. So, so yes, I love my country so much. That's why I came back to live a little longer here, because I left when I was 9 years old. I was actually turning 10 on my birthday. My parents paid for a 747 flight to LA for the first time, and that's how I was introduced to the U.S. California, baby. So Southern California. So yeah, so then I lived in San Diego, California for a while. Then I moved to Northern Utah. That's where I finished my high school, and I did a few things there. It was a great experience to go to a place where I was the only Latino in my high school. So there were no other minorities, completely white. So that's why I can tell you that it allowed me to, some people look at that as a disadvantage. I always looked at it as an advantage, because sometimes we spend life trying to fit in instead of investing into standing out. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did. I took my differences and used them into my advantages. I was different. I looked different. I acted different. If anybody has seen my content on LinkedIn, I brought dancing to my content creation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
make sure if you like dancing. And so to go back to your question, after high school, I went to live in Italy for a couple of years.
Ooh.
I did an ecclesiastical mission, and
Not to interrupt. I want to hear this story. I really do. What is the food like there? Because I've always wondered about, because I'm a big fan of Italian food, and what is it like there to actually be there and to consume that product? Because it's the same sort of deal with being in Guatemala and tasting Guatemalan food and being there authentically and soaking in the culture. So what was that like? Because again, I'm a big fan of it. I want to go there one day. I've never been, and that's one of the bucket list places that I want to go see is Italy.
Oh yes, of course. So Italy is molto bello. First of all, just the country itself. You got to understand that I went to the northeast side of the country. The first city that I visited was Venice. So can you imagine that?
Oh, wow!
Introduction to Italy. I mean, just walking around that the peninsula, just looking at gondolas, looking at this amazing architecture that was over thousands of years. I mean, just incredible. It's like hundreds and hundreds of years old, and just the when it comes to the culture, it's just like amazing, because they take a lot of pride in their past and in their history. And when it comes to food, is the same thing. They pass along recipes that have been in the family for just generation after generation. And so some of the pastas that most of the pasta, if it's like genuine, they make it at home. So they don't buy their pasta; they make it themselves. And la nonna, which is the grandma,
Yeah.
cooks the sauce for even up to 2 days in simmering, just catching that incredible flavor that you cannot get unless you put in the time and you put in the heart and you put in just the effort to just cook up an amazing meal. So every time I went to a friend's house, I needed to set 4 hours aside, because what they do is they start from the beginning. They start telling you the story about how this meal came about, their family, who used to cook it first, which grandmother came, what lineage came from. And so they would, and while you're sitting there, the conversation is part. You get educated on how this meal is cooked.
Wow.
And they tell you the origins. And see, when you go to Italy, you got to understand that there are regions, and every region has their own cheese, their own meats, their own dialects. That's another thing that people don't know. See, I speak Italian fluently, but every time I went to a different region, they speak their dialects actively. So even Italians among themselves, they have to speak Italian to understand each other. When they're not speaking to an Italian from like Sicily, in like Venice, they speak the Venetian. So they speak dialects. So it's so culturally enriched.
I love that. I love that. I'm just saying that they ingrain their culture in everything that they do. I mean, that's where I see a lot of value and richness in what they do. And that's why one of the things that I'm so drawn to go see that at one point in my life, that I will go see that, because again, like, it's amazing to hear you describe it. And it's exactly everything that I've envisioned in my mind of what it would be like.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That's incredible, man. I love that.
Yes. I mean, I highly suggest. This is the reason why I love traveling, because traveling is living. When you only live in one place, you get to know that place. You get to know the perception of life from the people around you. But when you leave your surroundings, your comfort zone, and you go explore to discover new thinking, new ideas, new lifestyles, new heritage, new culture, it's that's when you really understand who you are and who you're not, and all the beautiful diversity that exists in this planet. So that was an amazing experience for me. By the way, pizza, it's you get your own pizza, you don't share. So I loved it, because I was like, hey, can't touch it. It's like, it was cool because you get your pizza, and you don't slice it into slices. You just get a whole pizza and you start cutting pieces because it's yours. So take your time. Nobody's touching it. It's for you to finish it.
That is awesome, man. I love that, because again, like I love just exploring the foundations of how people learn and develop, and that's part of what is who you are, is the places you've been, the cultures that you've taken in. They've helped develop you into the person that we're looking at right now. So let's continue a little bit. I'm sorry that I sent you on a tangent, but when I hear that word, I was like, I gotta at least ask, because I just love how it mirrors the cultures of what we do in South America and even in like in Mexico and Guatemala and in the Dominican Republic, where it is what we do and how we live is all ingrained in the culture of what we share with our people. So it's really important that to understand these things, and I just love listening to culture from different perspectives. It's just another way to learn about life. So let's continue down your journey. So you said you were living in Italy, and you were doing a
ecclesiastical mission.
Yes. So, what sent you down there? What was the genesis behind you going over there and doing that? Was there just a call that said, I want to go do this?
As an LDS member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as many may know as Mormons. When we're 19, we have the choice of serving a mission. Now we get, we save money, we get ready for it, 4 years of seminary at least, and you just say, I'm ready for a mission, and they pick a place in the world that you don't even know where you're going to go.
Ooh.
So for me, you can imagine when they said Italy, I was like, really? I'm for serving you. So I was very, very glad that I was chosen to go to Italy because, I mean, wow, it's like it was such an amazing, beautiful experience. I mean, absorbing the culture. So it was a certain, and it was a mission where it allowed me to talk to the people every day. So that was my mission, to help, talk, associate with them, see what just get to know the Italian culture and absorb every beautiful part and that they have to offer. So that was an amazing, one of the most amazing experiences in my life.
I love that. That it wasn't essentially that you took a leap of faith.
Yes. Yeah, because you don't know. I've never been away from home so long and so far. It was the second time I had to go penetrate a new culture and learn a new language, because that's what I did when I came to the US.
Yeah.
So I was already used to that part. But, Europe is a whole different world. I mean, it's so just different. And you get to meet so many different people from so many different countries and speak so many different languages. It's just it's an amazing experience. So
that's cool, right? It's just like a melting pot of different people all encapsulated in really truly a small area of landmass, as opposed to what we live here what happens here in the United States. It's so spread out, where those countries and living over in that culture, it is you can literally travel an hour from one point and be in another country. So I love that, because that's why that's one of the things to go for me when my kids get a little bit older, is to travel over to Europe and go see and just enrich myself with the culture of just every part of wherever I go visit over there. That's one of the coolest things to really hear about. So after you completed your travels over there, what was the next part of your journey that brought you? I guess did you come back to the States here, or did you go back?
Yes. So I came to Guatemala, actually, because, after living in Europe, they asked me about the Mayans and about my country. And I was a little embarrassed to admit that I hadn't been to the Mayan temples, that I hadn't been to many of the beautiful areas that are well known by Europeans. Ironically, they knew all my country better than I did. So I decided, okay, this is not happening ever again. So I came directly from Europe to visit everything that I could visit, all the touristic places, all the Mayan sites, temples, and everything. I had to get to know my country. So I came here and I did that. Then I left directly from Guatemala. I went to New York. And this is where the professional journey starts.
Okay.
So I didn't have an idea what to do, because we're talking about a 2 years earlier high school graduate. I had gone to the world to do different things that had nothing to do with professional life. I didn't know if I was going to go to university or where I was going to go. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a direction. And this is the reason why I love talking about this, because many people, may find themselves at that point. And so what happened is, my brother-in-law, he in '98, he got into computers. He learned. And so he went to upstate New York, and he was living up there. And he told me, hey, listen, you can come out here and I will teach you computers, computer networking, and you can get a job doing that. And I was like, well, do you realize I've never had a computer in my life? The only computers I ever touched were, in high school. And mind you, that my high school, we didn't even have internet. We had those, just to learn connecting. I mean, we didn't have anything connected. Everything was still floppy. I mean, it was crazy. So you can imagine, no understanding of the internet, no understanding of networks, no understanding of operating systems or anything, because even the regular corporate people didn't know about that. So I said, are you sure I should go into this? And this is the reason why, if somebody's ever thinking about going into technology, trust me, you can go with zero and start from the ground up. So he offered me to go to upstate New York and learn computer networking. And what we did is we went and bought me just a big stack of books for the MCSE, Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer. It gives you a collection of books that teach you how to understand networks. And like, for
Yes.
example, email server, Exchange server, when it comes to Microsoft, SQL Server for databases, main server, Active Directory, and everything that has to do with a corporate network. And so what I did is I studied for 6 months, just hit the books hard, and I got certified in this with this certifications for Microsoft. And then an opening came in a company, and so I decided to go and apply. Pretty much sell myself. I'm talking about no experience, no history of technical background. I mean, I didn't even have hardware background. I mean, nothing.
Oh, wow.
I just sold myself. I was confident. I said, listen, I have done this. And I said, I have worked with, with networks. The only thing I've done is put two towers together with a Ethernet cable and connected them to each other. That was my extent of understanding networks. You can imagine, right? So I went to a corporation and they hired me. They were glad I was there, because at the time nobody knew networks. We're talking about 98. People, didn't really know. I mean, Windows 95 was still new. They were starting to go into, I mean, we're talking about people didn't even know the internet. So if you knew a little bit of something, you knew a lot.
Yeah.
So it was very fortunate for me, So what I did is I started as a network technician. I started learning. I would pull apart the hardware in the towers and stuff, and learned every piece and every component. Got very comfortable with that, and then I started just pulling wires, connecting PCs in different departments to the hubs and the bridges, and everything that had to do with the networking. And I started to monitor the network for the network administrator. Within 8 months, the network administrator left to another job. And guess who knew everything about the network? So, I was able to be promoted within 8 months to become the network administrator of the biggest freight company in the East Coast, with terminals from Maine to Atlanta interconnected to my network in New York. And I was 22 at the time, without a degree.
Wow.
I mean, the biggest freight company in the East Coast, mind you. And so there was a lot of money that was thrown at me to buy new technology. So I was able to, get the Citrix systems going. At the time, they didn't have corporate email. So we had the BlackBerry server with the BlackBerry devices before the cell phones. This is before people had cell phones.
Wow.
Access their email from outside the building, on premises, So yeah, it was just an amazing experience. I was able to go from high school to the pros, within months. And so it was a great experience, man. So that's how I started into technology. I was able to, and as I mentioned, when you're a network administrator, you're in charge of everything. You're in charge of the data. You're in charge of protecting the data. You're in charge of backing up the data. You're in charge of regulating rights and permission, privileges, security. I mean, everything. Backups, storage systems, external storage, and the databases, because that's where all the data goes. So just to have people understand what technology is, we're pretty much just data is the new oil. A company, even their money, they could lose their money, and it would not be as significant as if they lost the data. And so that's what technology is, the manipulation of data. That's what we're doing. A lot of data that we're releasing, whether it be video, whether it be documents, PDFs, live stream, whatever, it's just data. If you think about it, everything is data. So you can manipulate data. That's what we do. And that is the future of everything for businesses.
And that, and just like just to your point, yeah, it is exactly what we're doing. They're manipulating it so much that they're teaching it how to manipulate on its own. So you're seeing what AI and computer learning is starting to do when you're talking about technology. I mean, it's starting to, that's where this is where you started at back then, is starting to head to that point now, where it is, we take that data, we manipulate it, and we tailor it to each individual. Now, that's why some people, when you get on Facebook, you could be scrolling on Google looking for a product or an ad or a service. And then when you go back to your Facebook page, lo and behold, as you scroll up on your thing, there's a Facebook ad for something you just looked up or is similar to a product that you were just looking at. So they're taking all that data, they're taking everything, and again, they're learning what you like, so much so that they think they're going to know what you like more than you do, and make these suggestions to you. And that's kind of where all of this has really started going. I know I don't know. I fell down this rabbit hole of wanting to learn about, learning about AI and because again, just like anything, people will highlight about some of the bad things that are going to be happening with AI and why. But there's also good properties about it as well, how it can be used, how computer learning and all of these things can be used. I mean, you see it now where they do remote surgeries. So if a neuroscientist, if a doctor of is in one city and he can't perform the operation, he can't fly there, but he is the most skilled expert. I mean, he can literally now do the operation from one city and do it in another city using the robotics and learning about AI and technology and how everything moves, man. There's so much good that can come out of it.
Let me give you my take on it, because it's different from most people that are not in the field. First of all, people fear what they don't understand, Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing we have to understand. You got to remember that 100 years ago, we were all working the land manually. All of a sudden, we had animals incorporated into that mix, and then we had a little machinery type of stuff that we started incorporating. So if you think about it, robotics have been around for a long time.
Yes,
anything that has to do with metals acting as us, since Ford and the mass production of cars, that's robotics, and we have been manipulating that for long. So if you really look at that in that aspect, it's not scary, because it's been here for a long time. And if you think about it, if I were to grab someone from 100 years ago and I was to tell them, listen, 2020, we're going to all be locked in our homes and we're going to be looking at this flat lights for all day, and we're going to be like enchanted. We're going to be like we're just going to be hooked into this device. And we're not going to do anything else, and we're going to talk to it, and we're going to be interacting with it. If I were to tell that person, he would be, first of all, that's witchery, witchcraft. That's not real. That's ridiculous. That will never happen. How is that possible? So as you can see, things have happened drastically.
Mm-hmm.
AI has existed since 1956, Gabriel.
Yeah.
And machine learning actually was earlier, I think.
Yeah.
And, so if you think about it, what we have been doing. Okay, so then I tell people what's happening now, and in our society, is that we're being able to do more in less time with more. I mean, imagine the fact that your cell phone, has more computing power than what they had available when they took a rocket to the moon. That's amazing.
Perspective, folks.
That's amazing. So if you look at that, it's like, it's not something scary, it's something exciting. And and this brings me to what I do right now. Now, after that, I've been a business owner. I owned a boutique store, fashion boutique for females, female clothing. It was good for 5 years until the pandemic came around, and then I had to shut down. 5 years. I was concerned about what was going to happen, but what I did is I kept on studying. I kept on networking in LinkedIn, getting myself known to a big community that I have tried to very, with a lot of effort, build on it. And you know what? Everybody should know that LinkedIn is one of the most important platforms for a professional. Okay. And because I did that, I was able to pivot and go from business owner into technology once again. And this time, a whole new technology. Because let me explain that.
Yeah.
Back 22 years ago, I was a systems engineer, which is someone that deals with servers computers and all that infrastructure, computer infrastructure. Later, when I had my business, I started learning how to code about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I started teaching myself because I went back to school after I was a professional. And I graduated in 2008. The worst time anybody could have graduated. It was the worst economy. There were no jobs. Our field was saturated. So I had to pivot and go into sales. And that's why I did some sales. I learned how to sell, and I went and traveled all around the U.S., working for a company that did security and automation, home automation in business. So we connected the homes, kind of like IoT.
Yeah.
Internet of Things.
Things, yes.
Yeah, this was back in 2009. So, but now I'm working, and this is so exciting, Gabriel. I want people to know this.
Yes.
I am working with robotic process automation. Now, many people don't know what it is. Some have heard of it. Now, I did this about 20 years ago, which was pretty much writing scripts so that you can automate jobs. Okay, but robotic automation is one of the fastest growing technology next to AI. What it does is it helps business processes get automated. In other words, if you with software, you build a digital workforce. In other words, kind of like machine learning, but in software, we are teaching software to mimic people's actions. In other words, and this is the reason why it's so exciting, because people may look at it as, oh, this is scary. Robotics and automation and AI is taking over the world. But let me tell you this, Gabriel, do you really think that somebody goes to college for so many years so they can become slaved into office work, doing a lot of spreadsheets, working like 15 hours just to arrange information that could be automated?
Yeah.
That's the part that people don't understand. Why would we want to stay slave when humans were created to be creators? Humans have creativity. We're supposed to be using it. Not supposed to be stagnant, stuck in a cubicle in an office doing something that can be automated. Instead, we're supposed to use our creativity and our empathy, something that machines don't have yet.
Yes. Progressive innovation, really moving forward with and again, I love learning about these things because, again, as we progress as a culture, so do the things that are around us, and so do the things that we create. I tell so many people, you got to be open to whatever. I mean, just like you said a while ago, and it was a great example to use, that your phone has so much computing power as opposed to what they use to actually send somebody to the moon. I mean, think about it in perspective. What you hold in your hand is a supercomputer, right? You actually have a way to do so many different things in the palm of your hand. But my thing is, how many people optimize it?
Yeah, and that's the difference, because see, a lot of people were stuck home. And let me tell you something. Right now is the best time to learn about technology and computers and programming. Because it's interesting because it's one of the best paying professions, and yet it's one of the few that you can actually learn for free online.
Yes.
I mean, can you imagine that? And it's the fastest, easiest way to corporate world. Now the big tech companies are not requiring university degrees. So you don't need that. That's like old school. That's like irrelevant. Now, instead of going 5 years to school, get into huge debt, and come out as a dinosaur because, technology changes every minute, you can have 5 years of experience, solid corporate experience. And by that point, you're a senior level lead and head. You know what I mean? So it's wonderful to know that technology is no longer required to go to university and study it. You can do it in the comfort of your own home. You could do it by yourself. You could, they are like tremendous. We're inundated with so many free resources that I try to always promote, like freecodecamp.org.
Yeah.
It's a nonprofit that has a whole structured, program that takes you from HTML, hypertext markup language, which is the structure of every web page. And then
Yeah.
CSS, which styles everything that you see on the web pages, and that's just the front end. And then you go into JavaScript, which does the functionality. In other words, everything that's in the background and the back end. So it's like you start from there, and you start to learn, and you start to put it. It's just like learning. Remember, by the way, I speak 5 languages, and this is the reason why I'm going to mention this. I speak 5 human languages, and I speak about 6 computer languages.
Yeah. And that's the way to do it, right? Is to figure out how to. I mean, we really want to learn how to communicate better. So it goes beyond just being able to speak another language. You're speaking the language of computers, technology, everything else. Because again, I'm like you. I'm trying to learn a lot of these things myself because not only does it let you learn new skills, but it also opens your world to how creative you can actually be. And this is what I push for a lot of people. I mean, I want to get into that sector of wanting to learn how to do that thing because I want to become a front end developer where I want to be able to do these things and throw my creativity on top of what I know in that language. So yeah, I want to learn the language of that level of communicating because I'm like you. I know 2 languages very fluently. I am learning a third right now, so I'm learning how to speak French because I that's one of the places that I want to go when I go to Europe. And the next one will be Italian as much as I possibly can because I want to learn how to communicate. Because if those are 2 places that I get to go see in my lifetime, I'm done. I've lived a great life, and those are things on my list. And I want to be able to go there and communicate with the people when I go there. So that's why I do this. Yeah, because again, I am a stranger in their country, in their culture, and I want to learn how to live in it and navigate myself through their world and what they do. I mean, so
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's a privilege, position because see, imagine being in a room where there are people that speak 2 languages. All of a sudden, they change the language, they canceled you. And that's like I don't like that. That's the reason why I like learning them because it's such a powerful position. And not only that, but like for example, you got to understand. I was born in Guatemala, but I had to learn English, and I learned it very well, and I studied it very hard so that I could communicate proficiently. So that I could, communication is the most important skill humans can learn because if you think about it, everything requires communication. The better we communicate, the more effective we are in society, in our relations, at work, everything. And if you think about it, programming is a language. So we're learning how to communicate with machines. We're learning how to, command and ask these machines to do certain things that we would be doing otherwise. So this is the reason why I am so excited about the future. The problem is, I feel that the doctrinization from like movies like Terminator,
yeah,
people start to look at these sci-fi movies and start to be horrified, like kind of like watching scary movies and being scared of the dark. Too much too much or something that may alter your thinking. So when it comes to technology, I don't believe it's anything like that because if you think about it, technology is helping us in the for example in the healthcare sector, like.
Yeah.
We're finding things how to we're discovering ways to heal ourselves. We're discovering ways to cure cancer, to be able to put, and this is something different. And let me go off a little far. In the future, near future, as I understand, maybe even 10 years, we're looking at something that is called, and this is something crazy that I'm about to mention, transhumans. Transhumans, Gabriel, are going to be when people are going to start putting parts so that they can function better. In other words, we've been doing it already. Okay, so that's why I don't understand why people freak out so much about the future and how things are. It's already there, And so we're going to be able to, if we have like myself, I have arthritis. I'm going to be able to, in case my legs go out, I'll be able to have some robotics help me walk. I don't see that as a negative thing. Maybe a little different. Maybe I have to get used to it. But eventually, we're going to try to enhance whatever we can't do. We're going to try to enhance our abilities, whether it be physical and even mental. And so many people might think, especially religiously speaking, might interpret that as a blasphemy or whatever. When you put a calculator in your hand and you start doing arithmetic and mathematical equations, don't you become more efficient?
Yes.
Don't you do things faster as
Yes.
opposed to doing it on paper and pencil and eraser?
Yes.
Well, you can look at that as a blasphemy because all of a sudden you just connected to a machine and you became more proficient. So do you see what I'm saying? Like that's the reason why I like to give this example so that we can, easily digest this new changes in the world. And remember that it's humans that are creating these things. So like Eduardo Rodriguez, he's talked about how we need to remember that, keep it human too, like we got to remember that we have to teach these machines not to be biased. We have to teach these machines. We have to avoid the things that we don't do well, so the machines will do well. We have to avoid, the negativity that we sometimes tend to, develop. And so, it's very important that everyone, not just the people in technology, to get involved, because we need to dictate the future of our lives. Because whether we like it or not, software is eating up the world. And we understand that it's the new norm, that the fourth revolution, it's here. And it's here to help us. It's here to assist us. It's here to help us progress and accelerate our understanding, our abilities, instead of just being stagnant, instead of just doing what we did yesterday. And so I am very excited about the future, Gabriel. That's the reason why I work for a company that's in the U.S. that we're helping companies right now, especially with this pandemic, and there are many challenges that many companies are facing, especially being able to scale with less money. And what robotic automation is doing is this allowing companies to automate work that would take a lot of humans to do, and it will give them the competitive edge with less money, and it would make them more productive in every work, instead of because humans have errors, and so there's a human error. With these machines, we're going to be able to be more accurate. We're going to be able to accelerate our ability to make things better. And so, as I mentioned, I'm very excited, man, because we're going to be able to. This robotic process automation used to be only for big enterprises.
Yeah.
They had to have a lot of money to invest in their corporations to implement this kind of technology. Now, Scale Through Automation, which is the company I work for, we are fighting so that we bring this technology to the medium size, to small to medium sized businesses that could not afford this before. We're actually offering to even we're giving a little robot, which is, in other words, it's a digital workforce. In other words, what we're talking. In other words, we're having the software do what mimic what the jobs of many humans, so that we're offering a free robot so that companies can implement it into their environment. Is non-invasive. It doesn't require more hardware. It doesn't require tweaking and because AI is a little complicated.
Yes, it is.
Many companies can't go from nothing to AI. RPA is like the gateway drug to AI. And so it's like the first step. We're automating. Anything that can be automated should be automated, because we need the time, we need the energy, we need the creativity, we need everything so that we can progress and accelerate our progression. The more we progress, the more comfortable things get, the more accessible things get. I mean, look at this right now, what we're doing, Gabriel. If it wasn't for technology and even the pandemic, I may have to add, we would not be doing this as much as we are lately. So I'm very excited about what this challenges have brought on, and all the opportunities that we're having to pivot. And the difference between animals and humans is the ability to adapt.
Yes.
And that's what we need to be doing, adapting.
Exactly. And I love everything that you just went into, that you just covered. And one of the most important things that you mentioned in there was time. How much it can save time, because I don't care who you are, where you are. Time is the one currency you cannot get back, but you sure as hell can waste. So if you can find a process that gives you more time, to me, that's just as valuable as whatever amount of money you're going to be making or spending to get it. But I love that you covered that, and I want to recommend everybody kind of to what you're talking about here. If you haven't seen it, there's a YouTube original series called The Age of AI.
Mhm.
It covers such in a wonderful perspective of exactly where you can see the potential for all of what you're talking about, how important it is, and what is so important about us progressing to these levels that they're creating. And like you said, we're we're the ones doing it. We're the
Yeah,
humans creating it. We're the ones. Who do you think wrote the code for them to understand? Who
yeah.
wrote the language? We did.
And everybody can do it. This is what's amazing. It's not like, back in the day, you had to be a wizard. You had to have some magic in order for things to appear that didn't exist before. Well, guess what? Now our education in technology allows us to create things that don't exist. Allows us to, make things that will make our lives easier, better. And it's like, to me, that's an amazing power.
I love what Eduardo says here, man.
Yeah, I'm here to promote computer programming. I'm here to promote technology. I'm here to tell people we need to pivot, we need to adjust, we need to adapt. We should always try to learn something new. And if you're wanting to learn something new, this is what I would highly suggest for everyone to start. Just little by little. Don't think, okay, what I can't do, because you won't understand what you don't know yet. So you have to start from the beginning, and every day adding 1 hour a day, put in the effort. I mean, and by the way, I'm gonna go off here and tell people too. My mom just recently retired, and I had her come. She was living in Utah, so I had her come down to Guatemala with me. So because I wanted her to live with me, I didn't want her to live by herself. But normally a retired person would just be retired. Well, guess what? I'm teaching her how to code. And if I can teach my mom how to code, and if she can learn how to code, a lady that had never had a computer, has never had a smartphone, I want to teach. That's the reason why I want to do this project, because I want everyone to know that everybody can learn
Code.
how to code.
Yes, my daughter is coding now. She's learning to do code now at such an early age, and I love that she's doing it. It's a skill. It's a skill to learn that language. I mean, just as you would have it a skill to speak. And I tell people to equate: if you learn how to go speak Italian, or you learn how to speak Spanish, you learn how to go speak German. Those are skills that can translate, because you are the conduit between one person and another for them to interpret and understand. Same thing with the language that you're talking about learning HTML, about learning JavaScript, about learning CSS, learning about all of these things that go into it. It is incredible, because again, I love the fact that you're promoting it, you're doing it, you're living it, and it's apparent you're passionate about it.
Oh
So
yeah, man. I mean, and that's another thing I want to mention. People used to think, like when you watch the Big Bang Theory, you think you need to look like those guys in order to do computers. And nah, man, that's not the case. That used to be the case, maybe. There were a lot of stereotypes about, you needed to be eccentric, you needed to be a little geeky, a little nerdy, a little, whatever, no, that's not the case. Because you know what? I break trends. In high school, I was, with the bad boys, breaking all the rules, being a rebel, as well as doing everything that I had to do. But, just dancing and having a good time, So it's like, you would never guess that somebody like me, the way I am, extrovert, I'm just loud, and I'm passionate when I speak. People sometimes even get scared when I'm talking if they're not ready for me. So it's like, that's who I am. I'm different. I'm like not what you would think someone a computer scientist should look like.
Yes.
This is the reason why I'm making sure that, because I have the ability to communicate, and because I have the knowledge, and because I have the experience, and because I know exactly what I'm talking about, where we're going, this is the reason why I'm loud, and I'm want to make sure my message goes out to the farthest. The single moms that have to stay home, that thought that they wouldn't have a future, now you can. Somebody in Kenya that didn't have much, but has a phone and that has access to some internet, can study and learn computer programming without a degree, without having, I mean, you can be, autonomous with your learning. You don't need a teacher. I mean, YouTube, hello, there are millions and millions of professionals giving away their pearls, giving away their knowledge with no intention of lucrative gain or monetary, obstacle.
Yes.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, now it's like, wow, man, I'm so excited for people that really want to pivot and understand what the future holds for us. Technology is going to be able to help us, take it to the next level, to make things better, to make things faster. And don't be afraid, because you know what? Even when they had telephone and people were using phone a lot, oh, that's going to make us addicted. When the radio came, oh, that's going to make us addicted. When the TV came, oh, that's just evil. It just controls your mind. I mean, you know what? Your friends can control your mind. It just depends who you let your mind control. Just stay in control. Stay in control and learn, so that, you're in a better position. More, instead of not, if you don't understand something, seek, search, understand, learn, study. It's as simple as that.
It's a quest for knowledge. I tell everybody that's the path to understand. I tell people that's the path of enlightenment, is to seek knowledge and wisdom from whoever will share it, who will ever impart what they know to you. To me, that's the greatest gift anybody can give to anybody. Not money, not is sharing what's up here, because that right there, what's up here, we're talking about computers and writing, but that's the greatest computer ever created.
Oh yes,
that is
even close to simulating
it. It's the greatest computer that's ever been created. So if somebody's willing to share, quote unquote, their code with you, man, it would be wise to.
And since you mentioned it about sharing, this is the reason why I love about my field. There are programmers, and there's such thing as something called open source. Open source is a collaboration of people that have learned how to code and have volunteered their time to write code so that people don't have to buy software. Imagine how cool that is. In other words, you're working for humanity, and you're doing it pro bono. You're doing it, without a monetary reward. And the collaboration, Gabriel, is what I love about this, because you actually have humans from all over the world with different backgrounds, different cultures, different languages come together in one field and create amazing things. And the collaboration that's happening right now, and this is the thing that I love about LinkedIn, Gabriel, that the communities that we build, all these professionals are, it used to be like, you knew something, ooh, I'm gonna keep it. I don't want anybody to know what I know. Ooh, if they know what I know, that I'm done. There's no more. You know what? That's not, it's the abundance mentality that we are experiencing right now, where, we, instead of competition, there's collaboration. And it's taken us so far there. Look at all majority of the good influencers and people, professionals in LinkedIn are throwing their pearls every day. So if you're someone that's just, waiting to absorb what's out there, get on LinkedIn and start absorbing all that amazing knowledge that people are just sharing for free, sharing for good. And that's the reason why I love this new mentality of sharing your knowledge, because you know what? If you really think about it, that's the only value that you really have on this earth. I mean, money doesn't make you. Men made the money. Money never made the man. So really, it's not about your material accumulation. It's not about your social status. It's about what you return to the world. And this is the reason why I love LinkedIn, because now we can be professionals. We can have knowledge. And our value is what we share, what we give back to the world. That's really where I measure the true value of someone.
I perfectly said, and to your point, I would not be here if people wouldn't have done that. If people wouldn't have opened up, like you said, and shared what they know and their knowledge, this conversation, what we're doing now, and everybody who's commenting in a thing, none of this would have came to fruition. None of this would have came manifested if somebody wasn't at that point saying, you know what, let me share what I learned. Same sort of deal. When people come to me, I am an open source. What do you want to know? Where can I help you? How can I serve you? That's to me where I get my joy out of it as well, is in saying, you know what, this is, because again, it leads to what you're talking about. How many people have come? I don't know how many people come back to me and say, "Hey, let's work together. Let's collaborate. Let's put our minds together. Awesome. Let's see what we can do. Let's mind map what you want to talk about. Let's go brainstorm whatever it is you want to do to help collaborate and put out what that can help and better our society and people. Why wouldn't you want that? To me, I don't. That's the one thing I could never understand. That there's people that actually put up resistance to this.
Well, you know what's good about that, Gabriel? That's the old mentality, and it's going to die. We're in a revolution here. We're
exactly what it is.
So the silent majority is actually speaking, and we're trying to make this a better world. That's the reason why all these social issues we have right now, I don't agree with them. The world, if you look at 100 years ago, life was horrible. Life was difficult. Life was not what it is today. You know what I mean? In any case, even as a Latino, I mean, when else in history could I go back to my own country and work for an American company and associate with the rest of the world and have a community that has no boundaries, no borders, there's no limits to anything. So you know what? This is the best time to be living. I mean, I don't find, that's the reason why, as you noticed, I'm under my name in my LinkedIn profile. You can see that I'm the negativity terminator. I have taken on that name because I refuse to look at things as a negative and destructive way. Because it's not the bad news, it's how you take them. And yes. Then and life is just like the house. They will deal you the cards, but how you play it. How you play your cards. And you know what? I'm fine. Let life deal its cards. I'm going to play my cards. And that's what everybody has to do.
I love that.
We're in a good position right now, man.
So
life is beautiful. Life is better. Life has no limits now. Life is giving us so much. There is so much abundance. There is so much goodness in the world. I hope people are not paying attention to the negative and destructive thinking that is just going to bring them down, and it's not going to do anything productive for them. So that's why, sharing our stories, sharing our points of views, our perspectives, our approach, that to life, that will, bring progression, will bring just all sorts of progress, all sorts of goodness, and we're becoming, when a pandemic is worldwide. You know what? For the first time, we're actually understanding that we're all humans and we all suffer the same way. Mm-hmm. And that, I know that a pandemic has brought some things, but it's also a beautiful thing to understand that we understand each other a little better, that we see each other a little more at the same level. It's not just one country, it's not just one culture. We have the same opposition, and we're trying to look for ways to pivot, ways to adapt, ways to make things better. And this is the reason why I'm always going to support positive thinking, optimistic, productive ways to look at life.
Now you're speaking my language. That's the language that I love. Right there. Everything that you just said. That's the language that I love. It doesn't matter what point you are in your life, however things you are, if you have that mindset, the outside factors, the environment around you will not bother you, will not bring you down, will not take you and consume you and bring you down and destroy you, because you've learned how to operate within your own mind. That's one of the best things about it. I tell people to put in the mind work. The mind work, they go, what is the mind work? That's the mind work. Put in it to understand it. Learn how to operate within yourself. Learn to live inside of your own conscious mind. You want to coast? Go sit back in your subconscious mind and just let everything go around you and see how life turns out for you. You'll start at that point. That's where you start blaming all the things around you, all the circumstances, and you fall victim to what a lot of people fall victim to.
No, yeah, and you know what's wonderful about these days? We're promoting self-awareness. That's just powerful. Self-awareness is just allowing us to understand our true potential, our limitless potential that we were endowed from creation.
Yes.
It's like understanding that we are powerful, understanding that we are greater than what we have so far taken ourselves, that everybody no matter where they find themselves, there's always a possibility to do one more step, to do one better thing, to learn one more thing. And so it's just and we all have our own journey. We all have our own adventure. That's the reason why it's just irrelevant to even compare ourselves to someone else, because that's a different story. That's a different book. You cannot be mixing stories. You're making your story. Don't mix it up. You can't bring Superman into Batman unless you're making it together and you're making a collaboration. But other than that, Batman is Batman. Superman
is Superman. There you go.
We all have different superpowers. So we should all just focus on discovering them and exploring them and sharing them with the world and making this world a better place, because we can do it. It's our responsibility. 100%. Let's do it.
It is 100%. I love that. Thank you. Look at that. 100%. I do agree. That is truth. So much truth. So let me get to the money question. I've asked this guest every single question to every single guest that's come on. There is no right or wrong answer. I just love hearing the perspective from what people have to say. So here it goes. When the book is said and done on Dimitry Ortiz, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, and what do you want to be remembered for?
Good question. I guess my legacy is going to be my work. And I don't mean like what made me money. No, my work as in what I did on this earth. I have gone, just like many of us, I have gone through many obstacles, many oppositions. And I believe that is when we have courage, we can overcome anything that's in our way. I think we were created to be able to handle anything that comes our way, as long as we have a positive mind. I believe that the best thing that I could do is, again, making sure that I am serving people, that I am giving up myself as much as possible, leaving everything in history would be to make a mark on this earth, to make sure that I'm somebody that spoke goodness, spoke positivity, that challenged everything. I'm a debater. Since high school, I did debate, and I have been a debater all my life because I like to challenge the status quo. I am never satisfied. And so, if anything that I would like to leave behind is that it doesn't matter where you come from. You could come from a third world country, from a poor family, from a broken home, from a alcoholic parent, from having to work at a young age, being poor, not having everything in life, but having the correct heart in the right place, the right mind, and knowing that, my creator created me bigger than what I had even discovered. And so I want to make sure that people see something that was great in the sense of just using what I have to the best of my abilities, and not and being grateful. You mentioned, being grateful for everything that we have, because really it comes down to understanding not what we can get, but what we can give. And in order for that to happen, we need to do a lot of work within ourselves. And so it's not selfish. It's very important for us to work within ourselves. And so it would be a legacy of self-awareness. It would be a legacy of work. It would be a legacy of optimism. It would be a legacy of adventure, of just dreams, of no limits. And just knowing that everything that we do on this life will count, and that it will not be the only thing. It will not, death will not stop my knowledge. Death will not stop what I did on this earth. So that's what counts. What you did.
I love that.
People, that nobody will ever take that away from you.
And that's and that's what I tell people. That's what impact is. Impact does not have to be in the moment. Impact can be 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line. And I tell people, why do people go back and read? I mean, the greatest book ever written is still having impact. Now, 2020 years, however long it's been since it was actually written. I forget the number. I got to go back and look at it again. But it is still making impact. So what you're doing now, what you're creating, what you're sharing is still going to make impact beyond the finite time that you're allowed on this earth. So that's why I tell everybody every morning, you get up every morning, guess what, guys? You get to flip the hourglass and you get to start the grains of sands all over again, and to go out there and make impact and do, make this world, make yourself, make everything a better place to be around. And I'm a big believer in the fact that we all have our gifts, and when we start learning to how to live and operate within our own gifts, that's when we soar. That's when we take off. That's when you see these wonderful things happen around it. And when you know it, that's when the point it's okay to be staying in that subconscious mind, because you're living in the gift. You already know it. You're living in something he already gave you that's already there. You just figured it out. It's like seeing a duck swim. Duck doesn't think to swim. He just does it. He learned how to do it. That was his gift, and that's what he does. And don't even have to think of the thought process. So when you're doing it and it becomes such a natural part of what you do in everyday life and what you do and like what you're doing and what you're talking passionately about right now, I think this is what it means when I tell somebody that's somebody living inside their gift. That's somebody living inside of what they were supposed to be done, put on this earth to do and discover and share. So, man, I love this. This was a great conversation. And so before we get out of here, though, I just want to tell people, where's the best place that people can connect with you. Now I'm going to pull up the link so people can go back and share. But where would you say is probably the best place if somebody wanted to say, I got to reach out to Dimitry now. He blew me away. I gotta go talk to him.
I would have to suggest LinkedIn. It's my favorite platform. It's where I hang out the most. I comment on every post possible, sharing my perspective. I'm also, if you're interested in automating processes in your businesses, without breaking the bank, reach out to me. We can help you. We can get you going. We can help you scale. So LinkedIn would be the place to find me. Anybody that wants to also start a career in the technical field, if you want to start programming, reach out to me. I am here to help. I am here to share whatever resources and whatever direction I can give you. I am telling you, is the best time to do it. I'm a living proof, of the success that can be found in technology, and it's so much fun, and it's the future. So why not?
Why not, right?
Why not?
So there's a link. I've put it in the comments as well, guys, so you can go check it out. HTTPS /scale through automation community mn.co/feed. So go to the website, guys, check it out, reach out to Dimitry on LinkedIn, tell him I sent you, and who knows, it could be a conversation that could change your life. It's that simple. It's taking that step. So thank you, Dimitry, for coming on, man. I appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation. I also want to thank everybody who's been a part of this one. You guys, again, are the lifeblood of what I do here. You are part of what I love to call my community, and you guys really are the drive that I want to go out there and share and connect every day and bring new people into this community so that I can spotlight and share people like Dimitry. And you guys will hopefully take what he's telling you and learn from his experiences and go out there and enact some of these things yourself. I mean, that's one of the best things to do, is just to, how you go out there and act on these things that we're talking about here. That's, one of the worst things that, one of the hardest things for people to do is to put something in motion whenever you talk about it. People can tell you ideas all day. People can give you concepts all day. They can tell you all of these things all day. It's how you enact it and go out there and go put action to your words and really challenge yourself as a person. So, man, I loved everything we talked about here tonight, and just want to thank everybody who's been a part of this one. I would go back and say names, but there were so many people commenting. So thank you guys so much again. you guys, again, rock. You are the star of the show. Thank you, Dimitry, again, for taking the time to come on. Sit tight for 1 second. I just want to have a conversation with you real quick after the show. Everybody else, we will be back here tomorrow, 7:30 Central Standard Time. Our guest tomorrow evening will be Raquel Boris. It's going to be another great conversation, another great guest. So thank you guys so much. Stay safe. Stay blessed. We'll get through this together. Good night, everybody.